Hey guys, what's going on? A Button Games here, back on Diablo 3. First things first, you guys might have noticed I put an intro in front of my video, so let me know what you guys think about that. I kind of screwed around and used a Blender to make it. I found some templates and stuff online, so I didn't make that myself. I don't I don't have that kind of skill. I mean, it's a very complex program. If you guys have never seen Blender, you can make like full-on movies and games with that, but I was able to find a template and kind of screw around with it. So if any of you guys have a YouTube channel and you want to know how to use those Blender templates, because I have seen a lot of questions, people asking questions on there about how to like change the text and stuff once you download the template. I can show you guys how to do that. But for the purposes of this, that's just the intro I added. Let me know if you guys like it or whatever. And for this video, I got a question today about how to exactly use the cube, or like what everything does for it. So if you know who you are who asked me the question. If you still have the question, or if you still have questions after this video, feel free to send me an invite on here. Of course I'll talk. We can mic up and stuff, but I figured this might be easier because I can actually go through an example of using all of the things in the cube, with the exception of a couple of them, just because I don't have the stuff. But so here's my gamer tag up here, guys. It's Cody Elv, or PSN name, whatever the hell it's called. So let's get right into it. So the first thing in the cube here that you might not actually see is this question mark, question mark, question mark. This is only used when you have something like a puzzle ring or a bovine birdish. You put it in here. If you use it, the puzzle ring, it opens up a portal to the vault. The vault, I have a video up there of the vault. You can go check that out if you don't know what the vault is. And then the bovine birdish will open up the cow level. It's basically very similar to like what Diablo 2 is. You kill all the cows. They drop tons of money and tons of loot. The only stipulation is in Diablo 3 you can kill the cow king. In this case it's the cow queen, and you could still go back. So if any of you guys were Diablo 2 junkies like I was, you had to be really careful in farming the cow level, because if you killed the cow king you could never go back into it. But this game they kind of, removed that. So then the next thing we get to is extract legendary power. Now, this is probably the most important thing in this cube. So over here, if you hit R1 up top, you see the recipes and powers. Now, basically what this is on legendary items that you see in your inventory. So like this claw that I have on Lion's Claw, it says at the bottom, the gold thing is the legendary effect. I'm sure you all know that. 7-sided strike performs an additional 7 strikes. Now, not every weapon, but most weapons in this game, what you can actually do is extract the power from that weapon. And when you do that, it consumes the weapon. But what it does is then once you do that, now you could go over to power and you could use the power in addition to everything else that you have on. So for example, I found a Flow of Eternity and I extracted this power, and what it does is reduces the cooldown of 7-sided strike by 60%. So basically, I found that weapon, Flow of Eternity, I came in here, I extracted the power from it, and then I added it here. So what that means is I'm getting all of the stuff from everything I have equipped plus what you put in the powers here. So it's kind of how that works. Madstone, same thing. Your 7-sided strike applies exploding palm, and then down here, Ring of the Royal Grandeur. This one, I basically always use this for the rings, just because a lot of my builds involve me having to remove a few pieces of the set, and in order to keep the set bonus you kind of need the Ring of the Royal Grandeur. But with the release of this Focus and Restraint set that they did, it kind of makes it so equipping the Ring of the Royal Grandeur outright, like in your actual inventory, not as a power, is really not as beneficial to having Focus and Restraint on, because the set bonus from Focus and Restraint is just, you basically gain 50% increased damage all the time with Focus and Restraint, which is a huge damage increase. So I extracted the power from the Ring of the Royal Grandeur and put it in here. And as you see, this is the list of all the stuff that you can extract. So this is the one for rings, and this shows you all the powers that you'll get. So you need to find this item. So if you wanted this one, Roger's Huge Stone, you need to find a Roger's Huge Stone, come to the cube, extract the power, and put it in there. One cool thing about extracting the power, though, is that you always get the highest level of it. So for example, if you were to find a Rogers huge stone in the ground and say it said increase your life per second up to, say you only got one that said 75% based on your life missing, when you extract it, you automatically get the highest thing. It doesn't give you what is on the item that you have. It always gives you the best possible one. So that's something very important to note. So 60% here for 7-sided strike cooldown. That's not what was on my weapon. I think my weapon had 45%, but when I extracted it, it automatically gives you the best possible outcome. So that's pretty cool. So I'll just show you. All right. So all you do is you need these little materials over here on the side. These materials here are dropped from the caches that you get for doing each of all the bounties in each act. So on the map here, I'm just explaining this really in depth, just in case there's anyone out there who hasn't played the game in a while or who's still just learning. All these acts here, when you're in adventure mode, have bounties. When you do them, you get a Haradra cache from that act, and when you open it up, you'll almost always get one of the little legendary materials from it. And each of these materials, so the first one comes from Act 1, the second one comes from Act 2, the third one comes from Act 3, the fourth one comes from Act 4, the fifth one comes from Act 5, and then the Death's Breath obviously just drops from all bosses and elite enemies. So that comes from. So I'll extract this thing. So I just extracted Oculus Ring. So now if I were to go into my powers, there's Oculus Ring right there. So now I could switch that out from my Ring of the Royal Grandeur, which I'm not going to do. Here, Reforged Legendary. This is one that I use mostly towards the end game. This one's not as useful to people when they're just starting out, but what this will allow you to do is you can reforge any legendary item that you have and re-roll the stats on it. It's like using the enchanter, but it re-rolls the whole item. And you can keep doing it as many times as you want. As you see, it's a lot more expensive in the materials, but what makes this so useful for endgame is that you can re-roll it and get ancient versions of the item. So for those of you that don't know, you'll notice the two different outlines here of my items. So this one doesn't really have, the Maria's Kaleidoscope doesn't have that gold outline to it, but the Ina's Favor and the Sunwoko's Balance do. So if I were to look at this, right there below level 7 just says Legendary Amulet. Now if I were to come to this one, right below level 70 says Ancient Set Item, or Ancient Legendary, depending on the item. And basically what that does is it gives big stat increases to like Dexterity, Vitality. Normally this would max out at like 400 Dexterity and 400 Vitality, but here it can go way up. So Ancient's kind of the way to kind of just put you over the top if you're at endgame. So if you have an item and you're like, crap, I need the Ancient version, you could just kind of re-roll it every now and then. But if you run out of materials and you don't get the ancient version, you're kind of stuck with what you last rolled. So, you got to be careful with that. And then upgrade rare item. Now, this is the one that you want to use to kind of build your legendary arsenal here. So this will turn any yellow item that you have in your inventory into a legendary version of that same item type. So if you have a yellow sword, if you put it in here and use this, you'll get a legendary sword every time, 100%. You won't always get the same sword. You can get any weapon, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that you can get ancients from this, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. Now, basically, my advice would probably be to, if you're trying to kind of build up your legendary arsenal, you want to just run rifts, obviously. When you run the rifts here, you get the bloodstones, and then you can buy stuff from her. And basically what you do is you kind of just buy stuff from her, and she's either going to give you yellows every time or legendary and set items. And if you really need, say, a piece of chest armor, spend all your stones on chest armor. If you don't get it from her, come over here and put all of the yellows that she gave you into here, and maybe you'll get lucky and you'll get it. So that's my advice there. I would focus on armor first and use the weapons and the rings later, because those are more expensive in terms of how much bloodstones. They cost like 3 or 4 times as much depending on what piece you're going for. And then we have convert set item. Now, this is only really useful if you have multiples of the same piece of the same set. So what I mean is if in my inventory, if I have all the pieces of this Uliana set except for the chest, but I have 2 pieces of the gloves, what I can do is I can come into here and I can put the duplicate glove in here, and I can just re-roll it until it gives me the chest, because it will always give you an item of the same exact set. Now, you don't get to pick which one it gives you, so I could convert it could give me the gloves again, or it could give me the boots that I already have. But if you do it enough times, eventually you'll get the last piece of the set that you need. remove level requirement. This is just really good for leveling up a character from 1 to max rank really quickly. Basically, this just uses the legendary gem, the Gem of Ease, and it merges it with any legendary weapon or any weapon of your choice, and it just basically removes the level requirement. So you could start off a character at level 1, have one of your max level characters do this, and you could give them a level 70 legendary sword at level 1, and you'll just be destroying for the whole campaign. So it's kind of a way to make your life a hell of a lot easier there. And then these ones I would recommend against using until you get really experienced with the game. Convert gems basically just lets you convert a red gem. So if you have a whole bunch of red gems but you need green ones, you put the 9 red gems near any gem times 9, so you put the 9 red gems in there, and then you put the essence of the one that you want. So if you want an emerald, you put the 9 red gems there, and then the essence of the emerald, you use this, and it will give you an emerald. So that's kind of where that comes from. In order to get these essences, you have to buy it from Squirt at the hidden camp in Act 2. So she's the only one who sells these. Convert crafting materials. I would not use this. I don't really know what the point of this is, really. I think it just makes a whole crap ton of materials. Or converts them into like rare ones. Maybe you can convert common ones into legendary crafting materials, but the rare crafting materials are so easy to get in this that it almost doesn't seem normal to use 100 normal magic or rare crafting materials. It doesn't seem worth it to me, but that's just me. Unless I'm reading this wrong, someone can correct me. And then augment ancient item. This one is very interesting. This is for people who are at the very end game who need to get just a little bit more out of their character. What this will do is if you put an ancient item in here, so it needs to be ancient, you put an ancient item, you put in a rank 40 gem, a rank 50 gem, and then one of these, one of the flawless ones. Basically, that will increase the stat of the flawless one on your armor or on your weapon by however much you put in there. So I think it's by 3 times the level of the legendary gem that you use. Not sure. So basically, purple is vitality, green is dexterity, red is strength, and yellow is intelligence. So if you follow this recipe and you put in the 3 yellow ones, that will increase the intelligence that you currently have on your weapon by a pretty decent amount. It's not a ton, but it's enough to kind of put you over the edge if you're still, if you're right there at the end game. So that's kind of the cube, guys. I know that was a little fast, but I wanted to make sure I got through everything. And if you still have any questions, please ask me. But overall, it's fairly simple to use. When you're just starting off the character, I would focus mostly on the extract legendary power to get the ones that you need for your build, and then to upgrade the rare items to make use of all those yellow items that you'll be picking up all over the place. The materials might seem like a lot for you right now, but those will come in time. You'll have just shit tons of those. I think I have like 10,000 of each of those, so I wouldn't really worry too much about that. And again, let me know what you guys think of the intro. Let me know what you guys think of the video. And be on the lookout for probably another video either tonight or tomorrow. So until next time, guys. See ya.